Ever wish you could control modulation? In this video, we're going to go over how to do just that, creating a macro that goes from nothing to a tight filter pulse. Let's get on the same page about some terminology. For starters, we have macros. A macro is a fader in Arcade that you can attach to almost any parameter. There are 4 of them. Modulation is the process of using one object to modify the sound of another, most often in a rhythmic or pulsing fashion. For this demo, we're going to go into Poolside and then open up the sampler called Resist. This kit is ideal for today's run-through because it has a really nice bass and pad that could both benefit from additional motion. There's an ARP and lead that would be fun to bury and then subsequently reveal via a filter. First, we're going to add a filter module to our master bus. To do that, we're going to click our Mixer tab and then click on our master bus's first insert and choose Filter. We want this filter to be in low-pass mode, i.e. cutting out high frequencies. So we're going to leave it as is. Next, we're going to assign modulation to our filter's frequency. To do that, we're going to double or control-click the frequency knob, then choose Assign Modulation, then choose 1 LFO. So now we're going to assign macro modulation control. The first thing we're going to need to do is to zero out our current modulation. To do that, we click on the Modulation tab. Next, we're going to double-click the center of our range slider. As we can now hear, we have no modulation going on by default. Now we want to double or control-click our Assign Parameters knob, then choose Assign Macro to Modulation, then choose Macro 1. Navigating to our Macros tab, we can now see that we've successfully assigned our modulation to our macro. Pulling our macro fader up, we can see that we gradually bring in our frequency modulation. We can adjust how dramatic our modulation ultimately gets by changing the range slider. Now that we've created our modulating macro control, we're going to add an additional non-modulating macro control to adjust the sitting frequency of our filter. To make sure we start in the right place, we're going to turn our macro fader all the way down. Let's navigate back to our filter via the Mixer tab. If we double or control-click our filter frequency knob once again, this time we're going to choose Assign Macro and then 1 Macro 1. Toggling back to our macros page, we can now see we have what appears to be 2 identical assigned parameters. However, they are very different in function. Pulling up our macro fader and playing around with the 2 ranges, we can see that the first adjusts our sitting range, and the second adjusts how dramatic our modulation is. Now that we've successfully assigned our macro parameters, let's shape the sound a bit. For starters, I'm going to lower our frequency so we get this really deep sound. Next, I'm going to bring in our modulation range so it's a bit tighter and wubbier. I'm going to navigate over to our Modulation tab to change the shape of our movement a bit. For starters, I'm going to go from a sine to a saw to be a little more stabby. Great, now I'm going to change the polarity from bi to uni so that we're just bending up. Finally, I'm going to play around with the rate a bit, just to see what I like. Frankly, we're on the money with 1/8. Now that we have something we love, let's give it a good name. I'm thinking filter pulse. With any luck, you'll be off to the races making modulating macros in no time. If you have any questions, feel free to put them in the comments below. We're really excited to hear what you make.